Alright, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakapadash. That one is to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who taught us this truth. Salutations to the hopeful elect, that's around the four corners of the earth. And also the brothers and teachers of sincerity. I'm the brother I will you from the GMS Chicago branch. Here in Chicago, come back at you with another lesson. Just basically, talking about what Joe Biden said. There's a famine coming, because of the sanctions, they put on Russia, the whole war, that's going on in the Ukraine or whatnot. You have to also realize that, a famine, was in the works for a long time, because you have to think about what, it was several ships, with cargo docked on the California or several coasts, in several different states, This is, reported last year, around, what was that, August? Around August of last year, how, cargoes were stuck, out at sea. Food wasn't getting into the country. Now you have, Biden putting sanctions on Russia, which is going to lead to even more of a food crisis. So it says right here, Biden warns a real food shortage following sanctions on Russia. And it says, President Biden said Thursday that a food shortage is going to be real following the sanctions that were placed on Russia by the U.S. government as a result of Russian President Vladimir Putin's invasion into the Ukraine. Right. And, there's a cause and effect, to this thing, And we all already know this is being planned, And, talking about famine, it's prophesied in the Bible that there's going to be a famine. And this is going to be the worst famine to ever hit this planet. Because what? Daniel 12:1 says what? It's going to be a time like never before. Even, the Lord is going to have the Archangel Michael, to stand up for the elect. That's how bad it's going to get. That's how bad this famine is going to get. That's how bad it's going to get out here. But it says, regards to food shortage, yes, we did talk about food shortages. This is going to be real. Biden said during a press conference at a NATO summit. It says in Brussels, Belgium, following a meeting with other world leaders. It says the price of sanctions is not just imposed upon Russia, he added. It's imposed upon an awful lot of countries as well, including European countries and our own country as well. And we know how Americans get when they can't eat, Because what? Americans are the most spoiled people on the face of this earth. So when these Americans can't feed their kids, these people want to, go batshit crazy. And that's just the simple way of putting it. It says Biden said Russia and Ukraine have been the breadbasket of Europe in terms of wheat, in the sense that he and other leaders had a long discussion in the G7 about need to increase this decimate food production. Let me get a precept. This is the book of 2nd Ezra 6:22. It says, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouse shall suddenly be found empty. And why are they going to be found empty? The sanctions that Biden put on Russia is one of them, but this famine thing has been the worst for a long time. Things been moving for a long time. It's like I said, it talks about famine in the Bible. Famine is one of the, foresaw judgment that the Lord is going to bring upon this world, mainly here in America. That's why it's going to get really bad out here. A lot of these people are going to starve. A lot of these people are going to resort to cannibalism. Hyperinflation's in the works. I was at work today. Milk, it's $5.19 now. Just to basically show you that we're at the end of this, man's society, this man's rule. It's going to get, wild out here. And famine, death and destruction is going to be the start of that. But let's continue. This is the book of Isaiah 9:20. It says, and he shall snatch on the right hand and be hungry, and he shall eat on the left hand, and they shall not be satisfied. They shall eat every man the flesh of his own arm. Right, talking about cannibalism. A lot of these people can't go a day or two without eating. So a lot of these people, you can see it in different movies, different post-apocalyptic movies that basically show you the mindset of what's going to be on these people. They're going to be hunting one another. They're going to be trying to eat one another. And that's just the reality of what's to come to this place, America, in various places around the world. You know, these people are not going to be satisfied. These people are going to be hunting one another. You know, that movie The Road, you know, depicts it, you know, nice. You know, a lot of these people are going to be, you know, catching one another, you know, eating one another. And this is the reality that's going to come here to this place, America. But a lot of these people don't see it because a lot of these people is worried about their average everyday life. Well, let's continue. This is the book of Lamentations 4:10. It says, the hands of the pitiful woman have signed their own children. They were their meat and the destruction of the daughter of my people. Right, this is going to come back. You know, you Israelites, you know, you single mothers, you know, the ones that, you know, especially the ones that, you know, rejected, you know, men of the Lord. You know, these are going to be the same ones that's eating their children. You know, they're going to cook and they're going to eat their children. You know, like what happened back in Samaria, which I'm going to bring up that account in a second. You know, that famine in Samaria, they was eating bird dung. You know, they was eating bird shit. And, you know, the same thing is going to happen, but even on a much larger scale. But you have to realize it's going to be a time like never before. So it's going to get real ugly out here soon. Because in a minute, you know, once it get real bad, you're going to start seeing in the news, food shortages and different things like that. These shelves in these different stores is not going to stay, stocked for long. You're seeing hyperinflation set in. You're seeing these different things set in right now. So it's going to get real ugly out here. And it says, the Lord hath accomplished his fury. He hath poured out his fierce anger and hath kindled a fire in Zion, and it hath devoured the foundations thereof. Right, this is all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shah. This is the Lord's judgment that he's bringing forth upon this world. And famine is one of the worst ways to go out. Because I forget how the scripture goes. It says it's better to be, be struck by the sword than to be, killed by famine. Somewhere, along those lines. I don't want to butcher the scripture, but it's going to be a reality. You want to see people out here, laid out in the streets, starved to death, dead, people catching one another to eat them. It's going to be like a horror movie out here. And it says, in addition to that, we talked about urging all the European countries and everyone else to end trade limitations on sending food abroad, Brian said. And so we are in the process of working out with our European friends what it would take to help elevate or alleviate the concerns relative to the food shortages. All right. It's going to get real out here. It says, Biden's warnings of a real food shortage and the impact it will have on American and the European countries following the implementation of sanctions on the Russian economy comes after White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said this week that Americans are unlikely to face a food shortage. And it's going to happen, sooner rather than later. So if you want to read the rest of this article, it's on foxnews.com. It says, Biden warns of a real food shortage following sanctions on Russia. So, you brothers can, look, more into this article. But I want to bring another, account out. This is the book of 2 Kings 6:25, and it says, and there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it until an ass head, right, that's talking about a donkey, was sold for 80 pieces of silver, and the fourth part of a cap of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. Verse 26, and as the king of Israel was passing by upon the wall, there cried a woman unto him, saying, help my lord, O king. Verse 27, he said, if the Lord do not help thee, then shall I help thee out of the barn floor and out of the wine press. Right, how about Shemi Al-Shai? It's not going to be what you do in the times of distress. You basically fucked. Just to put it plainly, you fucked. You're going to be one of these people that's going to be out here chasing a person down just to eat them. Let me see. And it says, verse 28, and the king said unto her, what aileth thee? And she answered, this woman said unto me, give thy son that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. Right, they were contemplating, eating their own kids, which they you know, which the woman actually did. But she ended up having her son, which is going to get into. It says, so we boiled my son and did eat him. And I said unto her, on the next day give thy son that we may eat him. And she have here her son. Well, a lot of these people are going to be making trades on who to eat this day and who to eat that day. You know? And this is the reality of what we're coming into. So I'm not going to make the lesson too long. I want to end it right there. So I want to end it up by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem, Kakodash. That one is the elders and the apostles of great millstone who taught us this truth. Salutations to the hopefully like that's one of the four corners of the earth. And also the brothers and teachers for sincerity. You know, I just hope this is edifying, you know, to the brothers, to the sisters, you know, to the hopeful like that may be watching. You know, Lord will not come back with another lesson soon. And until next time, a ball.